experience. Currently, I'm working for the Java development. So the technology which I use, like Java, with a Spring Boot microservices, a Spring Cloud component as a backend. Also, I have a good experience in front end as a Angular. Coming for the database, I have good experience in Mongo and SQLs. Also, I have a good experience in DevOps tools, which is used for the development and monitor the application, like Apache Maven, Jenkins, Jira, GitHub, ELK, Splunk, and all. So these all are the technology stack which I have the experience. Also, I have a good experience in multiple domain which I work, like banking, telecom, e-commerce, and health insurance. Currently, which I am working, that is based on the health insurance. So my role and responsibility here in this project, like mostly I'm working for the a sprint based project. So I worked on whatever the agile methodology will be there. A sprint task will be defined, according to that I have to work. So just a minute. हाँ रही भैया. हाँ हाँ वहाँ पे चाबी टांगा लो पुट्टी में. Okay. So also on daily basis we are developing a microservices applications, so that the same technology, and project is currently I'm working health insurance. So here, like, we need to manage the project, like how we can manage, like if users will come in this portal, he need to take any type of insurance. Once users will take the insurance, the order will be processed and order ID will be generated. Once our order will process, internally we'll have a multiple microservice will come in these pictures, like how stores will be defined, where this order has been initiated, and how much payment will
So
be
it
there.
was a microservice architecture before, or it is a monolithic system?
Yeah, starting onwards, because these applications we choose microservices, but some of the applications we also migrated with mono to micro.
Uh, so could you please have a brief on JVM architecture?
Yeah, JVM is a Java virtual machine. While we are writing any Java code, so that will be converted in the byte. So byte will be will be have some numeric 1248 concept. So 01 format will be there. Through that, that data will be coded, and JVM will have a JRE runtime environment. GRE runtime environment, and some library and jars will be there. Through that, class loader will load the JV class file, and then that will be converted to byte code. Once the JVM will try to run through the Java, then that will be converted from byte to Java object code. So internally will come this JVM will come in these pictures, and they will do the this type of operation. So JVM is a platform dependent. So once you have defined this like a different type of operating system, based on that need to be converted.
So what about Java memory model?
Java memory models is we have a multiple four type of think Java memory model, like is heap, stack, program counter, native, and a stack and static data will be loaded, while Java class file will be loaded, and heap will be the temporary memory once you are declaring any variables and all, so that reference variables and all will be loaded through this heap memory.
Maybe more on that heap. And which version of Java you're using, Amjit?
Currently, I worked on Java 7 and Java 8.
How it looks like in Java 8, Java memory model in Java 8.
Java 8 mostly features you are asking, right?
Not the Java 8 PJ. I'm especially having on memory model, Java memory model
Okay.
for Java 8.
Yeah, so Java memory model in Java 8, I think a stream API will come in these pictures in Java 8. So while we are processing any data based on the Spring, sorry,
No, no, not Spring Java. I'm asking Java memory. You talked about heap, stack, all these things. And so those
yes.
kind of stuff, how it looks like in Java 8.
Okay, in Java 8, I think they mention as a asynchronous communication sphere to manage the memory. So garbage collector will come in these pictures, and they will remove unallocated memory, and multiple process will be executed in the simultaneously, I think, in Java 8.
How about which GC it is in Java 8? which
Yeah, garbage collectors like Demon will be there. Demon is a garbage collectors which will come in this pictures. Demon.
okay. So up to Java 8 you're comfortable, right?
Yeah,
Not beyond that.
not
Okay,
yet.
okay, okay. So are you comfortable with multi-threading, Amajit?
Most of the threading part I use like a thread life cycle, synchronization, asynchronization, deadlock situations and all. I worked.
So what is different deadlock and live lock?
Deadlock and
Live lock.
okay. Deadlock is a situations like if multiple thread is communicating and all are waiting conditions, one of the thread at a time it will work and remaining will be wait. So once this thread will be completed the work, then they will release the lock and the notifications and notify all will be notify the others respective thread. Then he will start this. And live lock is I think is also same, but I haven't used, so I'm not sure right now.
Okay, okay. No issues, no issues. So which all collections you used?
Collections mostly I use like a list set and a map interface details. So array list, linked list I used in list interface, and hash set, linked hash set, tree sets I used for the sets interface. Map also I used like hash map, linked hash map, and all tree map, these things.
How do you just explain how HashMap get works, HashMap put, maybe first HashMap put works, and the next time the HashMap get work. I would say HashMap of string and user.
Mm-hmm.
String and user, yes. Maybe string or maybe integer also fine. Integer and user, maybe that integer is like some user ID and user is the object. So
Okay, so
how put and get?
yeah, so a string hash map will have a internal mechanism. So while we are inserting the data, so duplicate will be allowed, and based on that key and value, data will be stored. So and once you are created hash map hm equal to new hash map, so by default the storage size will be allocated of 16, which will be a start from 0 to 15. And
Mm.
once you will be put the data, so that data will be inserted. So how we will insert it internally, they will call equals and hash code. So based on the data they will create a hash code. Some of the cases what will happen, key will be same, maybe value will be different. So in that situations maybe same hash code will be generated. So in that cases JVM will come in this picture. Internally they will check the equals method which is there in internally of hash map implementation, and they have to check the value. What is the value of, if same hash code has generated, then what will be the value? If say different value will be there, then they have to shift it in the next node for the same node of next. So it will be perform as a linked list like that. So if you want, you can get based on the indexed id. So that index id will be a start from 0 to 15 and all. So whatever the data you set it put it this data, that will be get by based on the get method.
So same key, duplicate key is allowed in HashMap.
Yeah, duplicate key is allowed in HashMap.
Okay, so what will happen with the duplicate key?
Once duplicate key will be
User,
there, in that cases.
ID one with user one,
Mm-hmm.
ID one with user two. What will happen?
Yeah, in that cases they will check the they will generate, they will try to put like insert in indexing based. So they will check what is the index hash code. So
I
once
told I one second. Just listen.
mhm.
Map to put ID one,
Correct.
user one,
Yeah.
ID one. The same.
Mm-hmm.
Then map dot put ID one, user two.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do map to get ID one, what will I get?
Get id 1 if you will do, then that will be inserted in the index of 1.
What is return? Which user I will get? Or I will get both users.
If you will get then the first you will get it, and if you will do for the list of the id then all both will be get it up.
Okay. Okay. So did you use concurrent hash map anytime?
Concurrent HashMap, yeah, concurrent HashMap I used like while if you want a thread like multiple thread we need to be communicate simultaneously. In that cases we need has a concurrent HashMap. So while if you want to insert multiple data concurrently, so instead of HashMap we can go for the concurrent HashMap. So that will be allocated parallel stream and multiples data will be inserted, and which will be thread safe also.
Or how it make the thread safe?
Yeah, how? Because of asynchronizations will perform. So asynchronization thread is a part of thread which will be allocated multiple layer of that. Like if you want to process the A data, so A we have a huge amount of indexing data will be there. So they will start from index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that will be do for the parallel dividations through the concurrent hash map, and that
Any
will be
locking mechanism is there for concurrent hash map internal working?
mocking.
Locking.
Yeah, that is
Same
also there.
kind of
Yeah,
how it works.
locking mechanism there.
Okay, I'm not sure. Did you hear about rehashing?
Rehashing technique.
Yes. When it happened or how it happened?
Rehashing technique, right?
Yes, rehashing.
Rehashing. Actually, I'm not sure right now. I have to check.
Sure, sure.
Rehashing technique.
Which all design patterns you work with, Ahmed?
Yeah, depends on the requirement. If you'll go for the core Java concepts and all, in that cases we used like a gang of four design patterns. So like singleton, factory DAO, MVC patterns, and builders design patterns I use. If
Okay,
you'll go,
whichever you implemented, or you can explain which scenario, the use case, and which
okay,
design pattern you use, why. Real
yeah,
time. I'm not using about a theory. I'm just saying about some use cases you come across and the design patterns you use.
yeah, so I use singleton mostly. So singleton which is used for like database connectivities and all. So once we have a database connectivity, then only one instance will be created, and the same instance we can refer in all the connections. Like if other microservices connections and multiple database operations will be there. In that cases, we'll do for the singleton design pattern. And others we used like MVC patterns mostly, like we are following like three layer of architectures based on Spring Boot and microservices. Like so if users will communicate it through the UI as Angular or any other UI, so that will be come for this how this will design. So that request will go for the particular controller, and controller will hit this details, and they have to check the what are type of database communications need to be happen. So this I worked, and builders and factory I used for the testing. So while we are doing for Mockito and all, in that cases we need a common property. So all the common property, instead of repetitions call, we can create a factory pattern, and then we have to create the object, and then we can call this all the repetitions of the object creations and object calls by using factory patterns. Apart from this, in microservices I used like Saga design pattern. So the Saga choreography I use for the transaction management. So while communicating from one microservice to another microservices, so we'll have a huge amount of microservice, like 4 to 5 microservices are there, which will be dependent each others. And in that cases, if transactions scenario is also dependent each other. So suppose if any microservices such fail or down or something happen, in that cases how my all transactions will be rolled back, and whatever the partial commit happened before, so how that will be rolled back. So that cases we need have a like a Saga pattern which will taken care. Others will have like API gateways and CQRS and all I used.
Okay. Okay. So could you just give an example for a builder pattern or some code snippet of builder pattern?
Builder is also used for this object creation. So this also I use for the testings, like if I want to mock the data, in that cases, instead of we need to call two ways. One is we have to create an object and then add some dummy data and test the application scenarios. Others, we have a JSON file which will be stored in our resource file. There, through that we have to invoke the data based on the calling, and after that we will process whatever the data is required. We need to insert and then we'll process. So here will come in this pictures builders, so that we have to create a builders here, and after that we will invoke all the JSONs file and we'll do the testing. So that type of work I work based on the builder.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. We'll come back to threading. How we can create threads in Java?
Threads, yeah, threads we can create by using two ways. One is uh, we can create a class, and the class will have a implement the runnable interface or extend the thread class, and after that thread t equal to new thread. By using new keyword we can create a new thread, and then we will start the thread or we will run the thread, and then once we will start or run the thread, then we'll have a thread life cycle which will be perform initialize, run, and then
Okay. Did you work at, did you hear about Callable?
callable.
Yes.
Callable is also has a interface which is used to call the uh, method, I think. So it's a markup, I think, interface. Clonable or callable?
Mhm. Okay. Callable, callable,
The same, I think.
callable.
Uh-huh.
And we are talking about threading, right? That's why I asked about callable.
Okay.
Callable,
Yeah,
callable.
callable is also like
Oh,
a interface which is used for the to use the call the particular method by using.
okay. Okay. So can you explain about executor service and how anywhere you used any implementation of executor service? Can you explain the internal architecture or internal working of an executor service?
Mostly executor service is a part of thread. While we need to process any data, so that will be have a based on while we have a scheduler. So while we are creating any scheduler, so that batch will be run on particular time or particular date. So that depends on the thread concept. We have to process this one by one, that we have to execute all the batches and all. So executor framework will come in these pictures. We need to create our executors, and there we have to run this all the cron job. So one by one,
Mm,
this all this will
No, no,
be
no.
run.
What is how Java interviewing the plain Java executor service? How it looks like internally?
Okay, plain Java. Okay.
Executor service in Java executor service. How it looks like internally?
Okay, internal executor. I'm not sure right now.
Okay,
Executor
okay,
internal.
okay, okay. When you did you know about solid principles? Hear about solid principles?
Yeah, solid principles is also part of while we are designing any applications. In that cases, we have to use this type of patterns. So solid means like a single responsibility, open for extension, closed for modifications, like interface segregations and like that, and and inheritance something is there. Uh,
Okay, no, no issues. Another thing, I will give you a snippet of code.
mhm.
Could you just optimize that code? Okay,
Sure.
okay. I will give that. So there is a class user management.
Mm-hmm.
Inside there is a hash map, class level,
Mm-hmm.
hash map, string
Okay.
user,
Mm-hmm.
new linked hash map. Maybe you can write it somewhere
Okay.
when I tell. So
Yeah.
class user management, there's a class level variable, hash map, string
Mm-hmm.
user, new linked
Yes.
hash map.
Mm-hmm.
There is a method, public method, which is returning user, find user,
Mhm.
which gives the input variable as string name.
Sorry, can you repeat? I have created class users and inside
User management class,
you
or we
you
can
you. Okay.
user management class.
Mm-hmm.
The class level variable, hash map,
Okay.
string user, new linked hash map, linked hash map I'm using. Okay,
Uh,
and it has a method which is returning user, find user method,
uh-huh.
find user method. It
Uh,
is returning a user object.
mm-hmm.
Input variable is string name. You can write or you can type somewhere.
Okay, sure.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
inside that user equal to user.
Mm-hmm.
It is using compute if absent.
Mm-hmm.
Inside that it is calling another method create user with the name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it is calling another class called user registry.
Mm-hmm.
A static method is getting called in another class. User registry dot register user and returning user. And next is the create user method, which is returning user. Create user. Inside that, just creating the new object.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that class is over. Another class, which is we call some static method, right? User registry. Inside the user registry, there is a static list called user list. Second class, user registry. Inside that, there is a class level static list called a user list, a list of user. And there is a method, the static method, which is we call already that void method, static void method register. Inside that, it is adding this user to the list.
You have a question? Can you give me this question snipped so that I will try to create?
Actually, I don't have it in
Uh-huh.
my laptop or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell it again, Mujit. First, you have a user management class.
Yeah, I created user
Okay,
management in that HashMap. I linked HashMap, and then after that, I created one find user
find
method.
user method. Inside that, from this map, it is compute if absent. Compute if absent. Inside that compute if absent, it is calling another method called create user.
Inside the user,
Inside
create.
user management, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
User the compute if absent, I told right. Inside the compute if absent, I am calling another method create user.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can put this in the chat. Maybe don't want to. It's going somewhere else. Calling compute if absent. Instead, it is calling create user method. And inside the create user, I mean, that's another method actually. Second line of this, maybe you can share your screen if you're typing, Amajit. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
I can correct you. Inside that, one second. Find user method. Okay. Inside that, find user method. Find user is have a input variable user.
Okay.
Find user have input variable user.
Okay.
Find user input variable argument input argument. Amarjit. User. So inside that method, user equal to user maybe yeah user equal to hm our hash map hm dot compute if absent
Computing.
compute if absent. Hash map has a method like that. Do you know how it does it? Compute if absent. Amarjit.
Yeah, has said right.
Compute if absent.
No, that I am not sure. So-
Okay. Compute if absent. Compute if absent.
okay.
If absent. Not computing. If compute if absent. Inside that it is calling create user. In compute if absent. Compute is there, Amarjit. Compute if absent. Compute if absent. If not is
If
if absent, yes.
okay.
So inside that it is
Mm,
calling like inside the compute if absent. Inside the compute if absent, it is calling create user. Create user. Create user method. So second line user registry.
mhm.
User registry. User
Yeah.
registry. No. In line number 9 you need to add. Line number 9 you need to add.
Okay.
Line number 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
User registry dot register user. Inside, I mean, no, register user. I mean, register is a method. User is we are giving that variable.
Mhm.
Register inside user. Yeah. Register is a method, and we are passing user. Passing user.
Yeah.
And line number 10, return user. That find user you can make the string username, not user. Line number 5, you can make string username. Find user that input variable as string username. And next method create user. Next method create user.
Yeah. Create user in their line number.
Line number 11. Line number 11. Next method is create user, which is
Okay.
returning user, which is having input variable as name. Actually, create user there you need to pass username. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Maybe you can correct it while doing the optimization.
Right. Okay.
String name. Inside that, line number 13,
Mm.
user equal to maybe return new user name. Return new user name. I mean, in user name is like an input variable. User is a class and it is we're calling that constructor. with a name.
Okay. Input variable.
Yes, with name. Just write name. We need to pass name, Majid.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Next class,
Hmm.
user registry. User registry.
Okay.
This class is user registry.
Hmm.
Inside that we have a static list. Static list. List of static list of user. User. No. I mean user list. How do you write list of user? It's a static list of the user we when we talked about. Can you initialize that? It's array list. Array list. Initialize there only. New array list.
Okay, array list.
Yeah. List equal to new array list.
Okay.
Okay. How we write list of user? How you declare list of user? The user we talked about. User object we talked about so far.
List of users, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you can define that in line number 19, Amarjit. I meant it's in line number 19. It's a list of user.
Okay.
It has a void method. Void method. Next is a void method. Line number 20 should be a void method. Register.
A static void. Okay, void method.
Static void method. Static. It's a static method.
Hmm.
Which register, which is input variable is user. Method name is register, Amarjit. Method name is register.
Static void register.
Which is we called in line number 8, right? That one.
Yeah.
Open curly brace and what is your static list name? You need to give a name to last your static list, right?
Yes.
What is your static list name? What is the static list name? I need to give a static list name to the line number 19.
Yeah,
How you
user detail.
give it? Okay, okay. How where you give? I mean, how you give? In line number 19, I need to define a static list of user and it will initialize there only. To do that, line number 19, I need to define and initialize a static list of user.
Yeah. String user detail equal to static list of user.
Static list of user, which should be array list, should be initialized as an array list.
Mm-hmm.
Please correct it, Ramarjit.
Yeah, just yesterday.
Okay. Line number 19.
User detail is this one.
I'll repeat, Amarjit. In line number 19, we need to define and initialize a static list of user. User is another class. Maybe we don't want to in this in picture, but user another class. Assume there's an existing class called user, and we need to define and initialize as an array list in line number 19. It should be a static list.
Mm-hmm.
How we do that? Line number 19.
Like that, right?
Yeah, you need to give the name also, right? List of user. What should be the name of the list? What's the variable name? Static list name. Just give users or anything you give user list something you give. Where will we give the name and what it? We need to give after list of user, right?
Yes, yes, yes. The reference name you are asking, right?
Yeah. Okay. Then inside the register method,
Hmm.
you will just add users dot add user details. No, no, the method actually method line into add, not there. Inside it's a method. Register it's a method inside that.
Yeah, register is the method. Inside that
Hmm.
users.
How no no user is the input variable. Not user
Yeah.
user is the input variable. And inside that we need to add that user to this static list. How you write?
Mm-hmm. Users detail.
It should accept user or it should be input variable is user and inside that method that user should be added to this static list. How we write?
Yeah, that this one will be there. Users will be there. That will be taken care as static list of user detail.
Register. I need to add a user object to this list inside this method, register method.
Okay.
Line number 8 we called, right? Line number 8 we called this. How then how this method look like? Can
Mm-hmm.
you define that method?
Static
We are
logic.
inside user registry, Amarjit. Don't want to define that again. We are inside user registry, right?
Yes.
Line number 17 we added user registry class. So in user registry class, I need to need a static method which should accept, which should input variable argument is user object, and that user should be added to this static list.
Mm-hmm.
How we write?
Like that we compound. Yeah, so like that we can do like a static void registry equal to users.
It's a you need to there should be something that method should do, right? How we write? It's a void method, Amarjit. I told you it's a void method.
Okay. Then none
So you need to
click that.
define a the void method in its history class. It should be a static method. It should accept input variable as user, and that user should be added to the static list in that class. That thing you need to define in this method. How we will add a new object to the class?
With this
Amarjit?
based on this create a object and then we'll based on the reference we will add.
Which method of list interface will use for that? We need to add an object to the list. Which method of list interface will use for that?
Add.
Yeah, we need to use the add method then. Users dot add user. Line number 22. How we will add how add method look like? How much is for a list? List interface add method. How it look like? I need to define the list. You need to use List interface, add method in line number 22 for the static list. Okay. Our real question is, okay, need to optimize this code. I will give you next 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Need to tell me what all optimization you can do on this code.
Optimizations, okay.
This code is not optimized, so
Mm-hmm.
you need to tell what all optimization you can do on this code.
Semi-continue help find this. History. This one. Optimizations of the code.
You can think next 5 minutes till 2:47. You can think and let me know.
Yeah, yes, I understand.
Maybe you can present the screen. Maybe you can do the changes so I can see what all things you can do. Amajit.
Mm-hmm.
You can share your screen, Amajit.
Yeah, it's